What's up, fight fans? Let's dive right into today's news. Here's what's going down. Chimaev honors Chechen leader following UFC title win. Following his dominant middleweight title victory over Dricus du Plessis at UFC 319, Khamzat Chimaev returned to Chechnya to a hero's welcome, including greetings from Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov. Despite living in the UAE for several years, Chimaev brought his UFC gold back home, receiving widespread celebration from fans. The 31-year-old credited Kadyrov for helping him overcome health challenges and return to the sport, marking a potential turning point in his MMA career. Speaking to Obzor Media, Bohr said, "When I broke down, he brought me back and said, 'If you train, you'll become champion.' And as he said, we returned to the sport. He brought me back to the sport and I became champion. Alhamdulillah." Fans react as Chimaev hands UFC belt to Chechen leader. Khamzat Chimaev returned to Chechnya after his UFC 319 middleweight title win and handed his belt to Ramzan Kadyrov, sparking a wave of reactions online. Fans were split, with some celebrating the champion's homecoming and others criticizing the gesture due to Kadyrov's controversial reputation. "Damn, I am not getting my belt back." The same country and leader he sought asylum from in Sweden. And back on the visa restrictions list. And middleweight division comes to a screeching halt. Why did he even go back, man? Dana, get this man's family out of there. Fucked up, Kadyrov took his belt instead of letting Khamzat pose with it for the cameras. Do you think Khamzat visiting the Chechen leader will affect the middleweight division? Daniel Cormier shuts down Jon Jones's GOAT claims. Daniel Cormier says steroid use disqualifies Jon Jones and Anderson Silva from GOAT talks, even though he calls Jones the most talented athlete the sport has ever seen. Instead, DC's Mount Rushmore of MMA features Demetrius Johnson, George St-Pierre, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and either Chuck Liddell or Randy Couture. Speaking on Club Shay Shay, DC said,
"I don't believe that. I don't believe that he should be considered the greatest of all time. I've said that. You can't, Shannon, steroids.
Yes.
In fighting is much different than anything else in the world. You just can't have that tied to your name, especially in fighting.
Right.
And people call you the greatest of all time. He's the greatest talent
Right.
the sport has ever seen. He's by far the most talented person that we've had in mixed martial arts. In terms of his length, his skills, his mind, he's the most talented guy we've ever had. He's the best athlete we've ever had. In terms of the best fighter of all time, I would never give that because of that.
Jon Jones fires back at Daniel Cormier's Mount Rushmore snub. Jon Jones has clapped back at Daniel Cormier after being excluded from DC's MMA Mount Rushmore due to past drug test failures. Calling the remarks insulting, Jones defended his legacy by pointing to his wrestling titles, becoming the youngest UFC champion, and a near-perfect MMA record. He also accused Cormier of constantly trying to make him the co-star in his story, while insisting his dominance came from talent and hard work, not steroids. Posting on X, Jon wrote, "High school state champ, JUCO national champ, youngest UFC champion, greatest in MMA history, a lifetime of loss, victories, and sacrifice, and this guy wants to write it all off as steroids. Honestly, it's insulting, but I can't help but laugh, knowing it was God-given abilities that made him feel so inferior." Jon also wrote, "When DC tells his story, somehow I'm always the co-star. Thanks, Shannon Sharp 84 for the invite, even if I was only there in spirit. Hashtag Airbnb." Do you think Jon Jones should be in the GOAT conversation after using steroids? Bryan Battle released from UFC. TUF 29 winner Bryan Battle has been released from the UFC after failing to make weight in back-to-back fights, most recently coming in at 190 pounds for a canceled middleweight bout against Ruziboev at UFC 319. Prior to that, Battle also missed weight in the welterweight division against Randy Brown, and had a past weight miss in 2023. Although the 30-year-old was unbeaten in his last 5 appearances and riding strong momentum inside the cage, his struggles on the scale ultimately cost him his spot on the roster. Zhang Mingyang jokes about being mistaken for Yao Ming. Rising Chinese MMA fighter Zhang Mingyang revealed that fans sometimes mistake him for basketball legend Yao Ming. Despite the mix-up, Zhang keeps a sense of humor about it, noting the obvious difference. Yao stands 7'6". The lighthearted comparison has fans buzzing about the young fighter's growing popularity. Speaking to Home a Fight, Zhang said,
Probably people will notice him, but usually when he's in China, he's either with his family or he's training. He doesn't go out so much, so haven't noticed so much.
在这里，大家有的时候可能会把我认成为姚明。
And sometimes people took him as Yao Ming.
Do you see any similarity between Zhang Mingyang and Yao Ming? That's all for today's news. Thanks for watching. If you like our content, don't forget to like and share. Subscribe to not miss daily MMA news from us.